Hey guys, and welcome to Salty About Health. My name is Dalaney Algier, and I'm here with my mom and co-host Mary, and we just want to welcome you to our podcast. So mom, first question, why are we salty about health?
Good question, Delaney. I think it's because we both have had health struggles, some more serious than others, and no one showed us the simple ways we could jump in the driver's seat and take control.
That is so true. And mom, why are we sharing that with all of our listeners?
Because we want our listeners to realize that it may take time, but with some knowledge about health, they'll be able to make a few changes and dig deeper to take control of their health and live a more vibrant life.
And that is the biggest part, guys. We want to have an open dialogue with all of you. We want to hear your health stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and of course, the funny. Sharing your story could help someone else on their health journey. We're here providing the logs for the fire, right? But you guys are the ignition source. You guys are the spark. So please, please, please reach out to us. We have multiple ways for you to reach out. You can reach out via Instagram and Facebook. Find us at Salty About Health, even Snapchat at Salty Health. You can email us at saltyabouthealth@gmail.com. Or if you just want to find all that in one place, check out our website, saltyabouthealth.com. We've got all the ways for you to listen and connect there. And finally, if you like what you hear today, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. We really appreciate it. Also, just want to shout out our intro and outro music. It is by Yule, and you can find her at www.yulearts.com. That's EULARTS. You can also find her on Instagram at Yule_arts or Spotify and YouTube. Check her out. Her piano music and everything else is amazing. But right now, we just need to do a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, here it goes. This is an opinion-based podcast. This is not in any way offered as a diagnosis or treatment for any disease, illnesses, or infirmities for a physical or mental condition or any other condition you may have. We are not doctors or practitioners of any kind. Persons needing medical care should obtain it from a medical practitioner. Consult your practitioner before making any health decision. The opinions offered on this podcast are ours. That's it, just ours. The information contained in this podcast is not to be interpreted as medical advice, and it certainly is not any claim that these methods can treat, prevent, or cure any medical condition. Again, we're not doctors, and the banter you're going to be listening to is just our view and our view alone. Welcome everyone. We're back for episode 2. And today we're going to talk about how important a whole food diet is, or at least the importance of adding whole foods to your diet. We're also going to give you some easy whole foods to consider incorporating into your day-to-day routine and some fun, tasty ways to eat those whole foods. Because as Americans, we all tend to like packaged food, right? But some real food can be really beneficial. And also, by the end of this episode, we hope you realize how simple and beneficial it's going to be to your body to add these whole foods. Okay, so mom, what do we mean when we say whole foods? Because we're not talking about the grocery store.
Okay, so let's start out with the definition of whole foods, which is a food that has been processed or refined as little as possible and is free from additives or other artificial substances. See, we're not talking about Whole Foods Market Incorporated, which is an American multinational supermarket chain headquartered in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I didn't know it was from Texas. That's pretty cool.
And Austin.
And Austin, we like Austin.
Your grandparents used to live there.
Yes. Everyone, I fell in the pool in Austin, Texas. Didn't know how to swim because I was 2. How old was I?
Yes, I think you were around 2. And I, for the first time, left you with your grandparents who told me that everything would be okay. And they had a pool. And I was so nervous. And when I came back, I learned you had fallen in. And your grandmother, scooped you out. But, that'll be another episode, I'm sure, about safety with pools.
About safety. Okay. But anyways, back to foods. whole foods and not, what are some of those processed foods and non-processed foods?
Okay, well, some examples would be processed meat, like sausage and brats and hot dogs versus a steak or a piece of chicken, or a freshly baked loaf of bread with just unbleached flour, salt, and yeast.
Okay, that's a non-processed.
That would be, well, obviously the flour is processed, but that would be a better choice than what you would pull off the shelf, because I went on the internet and saw a label on the internet of a popular bread a lot of people buy,
Mhm.
or like most breads people buy. And some of the ingredients in the loaf of bread, the first ingredients were wheat flour, water, high fructose corn syrup,
Mm.
sugar, yeast, and then it contains 2% or less of the following, which was soybean oil, barley malt, wheat gluten, salt, calcium carbonate, sodium sterol, and then 24 more ingredients.
24 more?
Yeah. So, yeah, I know that's a lot, 24. Some I could pronounce and others I could not. So, to be fair, some of those ingredients were vitamin D and B vitamins that they had to put back in. But the ending did say of the label
Mhm.
that it contained wheat, soy, and milk. And the reason they do that is because those are some of the top allergens. But
Right.
yes, if you're going to, so what I'm trying to say is there's a healthier choice to bread. You can go to the bakery and get bread that is just flour, salt, and yeast, as opposed to over processed, because I don't want to take everything, from people, but really, and that's going to be another episode, read the labels. Do you really need 30 ingredients in your bread?
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, because you used to make it at home in the bread maker.
I used to make bread, yeah. And what I would do is, if it wasn't sourdough, of course, you need sourdough starter. You just use those 3 ingredients, and then you can use a lot of spices. And
Mm.
then you have this fresh baked loaf of bread that you can put on some grass-fed butter, or if you make homemade preserves, things like that, that it just tastes really good, as opposed to something that has high fructose corn syrup in it and a lot of inflammatory agents.
Right. So why is choosing something like that better for us, I guess?
So we are coming to realize that what we put in our mouth has an enormous bearing on our health. Good intentions with the advent of TV dinners and being able to have long shelf lives for the food was meant as a positive change. But we have to realize that our bodies haven't changed since the beginning of time. So our bodies are trying to figure out what the heck to do with all these new chemicals, additives, and preservatives. And over time, that can stress our bodies and create unhealthy conditions. So when we consume processed foods, our body's organs and tissues must draw from our body's stored nutrient reserves, setting us up for nutrient deficiencies. So it is beneficial to put whole foods in our bodies that already contain the nutrients to nourish them, right?
Yeah.
Our bodies recognize these nutrients and know how to assimilate them to make you healthier. Of course, some people have underlying issues, and diseases that can make this more difficult, but sometimes cleaning up your diet makes these issues disappear. And a lot of times we are overfed and undernourished with processed foods. So when you grab an apple, or a pineapple, that has the enzymes to digest it. It's, what is it? Papain is in pineapple, and those foods contain what your body needs to assimilate it for health.
Yeah, because apples, they're like, oh, you need to eat the skin because it has the nutrients. Or when I make mashed potatoes, I like to use red skin potatoes and leave the skin on because it isn't that like you're eating the whole thing, right? So you have the whole package to digest it.
Yeah, there are nutrients in every edible part of a vegetable and fruit. I would say wash them really well.
Right.
Well, just wash them really well. And if you can, try to get organic because of the pesticides. But again, those will be other episodes.
Hmm.
So, yes, wash your fruits and vegetables and use what you can out of them. And it's much healthier than getting the potatoes out of a box. But
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ew, instant potatoes. I just don't
yes.
personally don't like them.
Well, no, when we lived in Germany, I hate it. And I still do not like instant potatoes, but there was one brand and they were harder to get over there at the time, or we were just, I don't know, lazy and didn't go to the store. But I started getting boxed potatoes for some reason. And there was one brand that actually could pass the taste test, but I did not use them for long. And they're just not good for you. I feel,
Yeah.
they're not as, you don't get as much as you do from something that's a real food. But to this day, if I go to a restaurant, I'll ask, are they instant or are they real? Because you can tell, you can just have, you
You
taste
just, oh, it tastes
if it's from a
so
box.
different. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, besides potatoes, what are some examples of healing foods?
Okay, so not the foods that I fed you when you were young, apparently. The gushers and the Lunchables, which you lived on. And I'm surprised you're 6 foot tall.
Yep.
And, those were not good choices.
I think it's because you made me eat like the Lunchables that I guess like the good ones. They were like the cracker ones with the ham and turkey because all I wanted was the nacho ones and I just wanted to eat chips and salsa every day of the week. But you forced me to have a little protein in there too.
Well, when you know better, you do better. I think that was a quote from Oprah. So, unfortunately, as a young mother, I probably fed you things that you shouldn't have had, or at least not that much. But I do remember once I gave you gushers and there was a new color out and it
I think it was
was
the
an
blue,
aqua
right?
blue. Yeah. And then when you went to the bathroom and the toilet, everything was that color. I was just mortified. But then I realized, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I gave her the gushers. So, but remember, you had a friend. Remember Bree in Rome and Rome's little sister Bree?
Mhm.
She couldn't handle, I think it was the red
It
dye.
was Red 40. Yeah. Yeah. Roman would read every single label for her.
Well, and I would space and I would try to hand out gushers, and Rome would go, no, she can't have those. And what we're finding today is a lot of children and people are reacting to what they're putting in food. So in Europe, they tend to put in more fruit based coloring, from beets, things
Mhm.
like that. And hopefully that will start coming over here. So Ty Bollinger, who wrote the book, The Truth About Cancer, said in his book that sometimes reversing cancer is as simple as changing one's diet, which is why he emphasizes the importance of nutrition in overcoming chronic disease. He says your body continually regenerates itself based on the fuel you give it. And if you're constantly pumping diesel into the tank when unleaded gasoline is what you need, you're going to have a rough ride and eventually experience a breakdown.
Yes, that would be so bad, says the engineer. I cringed on that one.
So, and I think if you do actually do that at the gas pump, don't you have to call someone and they have to pump out all the gas?
Oh, probably. Yeah, because if everyone wants to know the reasoning, diesel is like the least refined. And then as you get up to the premium, it's more and more refined. So basically, our engines in our regular cars that don't take diesel, the pistons don't really have like the power. Because what you're doing is you're like squirting in the gasoline and adding pressure and heat, and that creates the explosion and that turns everything and gets your wheels going, and it literally can't make the diesel do the explosion. It would be very bad.
Oh, wow. We don't want to make that. I think they make them a different size so they don't fit in your tank. I'm not sure.
Oh, that nozzle?
Or
Yeah.
at least they're a different color. Who knows? So there are fun ways to find out what kind of whole foods are healing. And I just Googled foods that look like organs and came up with an article from Woman's Day, 10 foods that look like the body parts they're good for. So the link is
Ooh.
going to be in the show notes. So if
Okay.
you want to read in depth, it's a fun article. But some of the foods they talked about, we're going to talk about now. And like I said, it's kind
Okay.
of fun just to figure out good foods that are good for you. So a slice of carrot, and also this article has pictures so you can really see the correlation. If you slice a carrot in half crosswise and it's easy, then it's easy to see the veggie resembles an eye, which is, yeah.
With the
Mhm.
pupil and the everything. Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Exactly. So munching on carrots actually promotes eye health, healthy eyes. So they are filled with vitamins and antioxidants like beta carotene that decrease the chance of macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in older people. So the next one is the folds and wrinkles of a walnut. bring to mind the brain, right?
Yeah, it does. That totally makes sense. Especially when you have like a whole one, it looks like the two different lobes. That's cool.
So, and it's no surprise walnuts are nicknamed brain food. They have a very high content of omega-3 fatty acids, which help support brain function. So, long, lean stalks of celery look just like bones, and they're good for them too. Celery is a great source of silicon, which is part of the molecular structure that gives bones their strength. And what else can you do with celery, right?
Isn't it like a negative calorie food too? I think what I've heard is your chewing motion, if you're chewing celery, it burns more calories than you're getting from the celery.
That I have not heard.
Okay.
But celery also, to make it not negative calorie, we can put peanut butter on it, right?
Ants on a log.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. That was my favorite snack in kindergarten. First of all, because we got to do it at snack time in kindergarten. So you put the peanut butter on and then you put the little raisins on it to make them look like little ants.
That's fun. And also, you can put hummus on it. Yeah, I mean, you can fill it with anything.
Mm,
I know someone who puts peanut butter on it and they put hot pepper jelly that their friend makes for them.
that sounds really good. My college, for some reason, made really good homemade sunflower butter.
Mm.
Everyone liked it more than the peanut butter, so I would do that with the celery and carrots, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. If you get the really wide celery, you could even almost stuff it like a zucchini. You could put anything in there, like little tiny, I don't know, parts of like hamburger. If you cooked up some hamburger, melt a little cheese on it. I mean, you can get creative.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, our next one is clams. And studies have offered evidence that clams, which bear a resemblance to testicles, are actually good for the male sex organ.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can eat them anymore, but they're like my favorite food.
Well, research from the Netherlands has suggested that supplementing your diet with folate and zinc, both of which clams are high in, can have a significant effect on improving semen quality in men.
Well, I'm just thinking, okay, so here's my logic. So I lived in New England for a few years. And first of all, they're not clams, they're quahogs for anyone who's up there. They understand what that means. But I think that explains why there's so many giant Catholic families up there. It's because apparently everyone is eating clams and their semen is on point.
I never thought of that.
Every family up there is huge. Everyone has so many brothers and sisters.
So they're great little swimmers, those seamen.
I guess. But for anyone who wants to eat quahogs or oysters, I don't know if oysters also count in this category, but they are fantastic raw on the half shell. And the best thing to do with them is to put horseradish on it. It tastes amazing. Don't hate it till you try it.
I actually did try it once when I went to visit her. Her grandparents up there got her hooked on those, and they did a wonderful job. And her grandmother also had cooked ones, something like called stuffies or
Yes.
something.
Let's get into this. Okay, so there's stuffies, which it's kind of like making like a clam meatball. So it's got breading in it and the clams, and you chop them all up and you put them on the shell and cook it. So that's a stuffy. You have clams casino, which kind of takes out the breading. So it's just the clam cooked on the shell, but you add bacon. And then you can have clam chowder. It's chowder. It's not chowder. It's chowder. And there's three kinds. You have the red from New York, which is meh. You have New England clam chowder, which is the cream sauce, but the best kind is Rhode Island clam chowder, and that's a clear chowder. And okay, so it has clams, which we just said are good for you, and it has celery, which we said were good for you, and then also potatoes. It's a starch, it's good. And then the brine and water and spices, and you're done. And it's a delicious meal.
Wow, that sounds like
That is my New England rant.
that's a good rant. They love their clams up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay, so now we're going to move on to citrus fruits like lemons and grapefruit. Okay. They're good for breast health, and it may be more than coincidental because grapefruits contain substances called, not really sure how to say this, but laminoids. Yeah, which have been shown to inhibit the development of cancer in lab animals and in human breast cells.
Wow. Well, okay, so story time again. When we lived in Arizona, we had a lemon orchard near us. You remember that?
Right behind us.
Yeah, and they actually, the lemons, if they get too big to sell in the store, they just leave them on the tree and you can go in and pick them if you want them, and they're sweet. They're actually not tart.
We had a lot of lemonade, and the neighbor grew key limes, and we would make key lime pie. It was a good place to get citrus. So the oblong sweet potato bears a strong resemblance to the pancreas and also promotes healthy function in the organ. So sweet potatoes are high in beta carotene, which is a potent antioxidant that protects all tissues of the body, including the pancreas, from damage associated with cancer or aging. And again, carrots are also high in beta carotene.
And sweet potatoes are really good at Thanksgiving with marshmallows on top.
I was going to say, you don't even need marshmallows and brown sugar on sweet potatoes. I mean, they are so sweet. So if people will just give them a chance and just put butter
That's true.
and cinnamon on them, they taste phenomenal. And you don't need any sugar on there. I know someone who does that, and just, I don't understand why, because the sweet potatoes are so sweet anyway. So yeah, you could just put butter and cinnamon on them and make a great part of a meal.
All of this sounds good.
So onions, they look like the cells in your body for good reason. So onions can clear any waste-related materials from your cells, and those tears that drive you insane when you're actually cutting an onion are actually cleaning out your eyes. Pretty cool, huh? So consider onions a natural cleaning product for your body.
They also talked about, I think in school or on some channel on TV, I heard this, that during the Black Plague, a lot of people, because they, just had all these veggies in their house, if you have a cut open onion, it actually acts as like an air filter for the room that it's in. So it would filter out the airborne part of the plague, which I don't know if that was the bubonic or the whatever part was airborne about it. But the people would get sick because they would then eat the onions. So they were safe, and then they ate it and then they got themselves sick. So yeah, onions can act as a room air filter also.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know plants do too, and I have lots of plants, but that'll be another episode.
Yeah.
But I thought the plague was from the fleas that bit you.
There were different types.
I know there's lots of different plagues.
Well, I know, but like for the Black Plague, there was different variations apparently. So like you could get it from being like bitten by the flea, or there was the airborne or something. Yeah, so it had a variety.
I think we're going to have to look up plagues and put them in our show notes, because I don't know if we're leading these people down the wrong path.
I feel like I heard this off of like a credible TV show or something, but we'll look it up. We'll look it up.
Okay, so broccoli looks a lot like cancer cells, and it has been found that if you eat broccoli once a week, it has the possibility of reducing your chances of prostate cancer by 45%.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And I think out of any vegetable, Americans at least eat broccoli, because I think it's offered as a vegetable in most restaurants.
Yeah. And I mean, you can season that up so easily, and it's just so easy to cook.
Yeah, I just steam it and then add some spices. And yeah, I think a lot of people like broccoli, which is good.
Even raw too. Ooh, I like to make a broccoli salad, which if you take raw broccoli and then I put bacon and sunflower seeds in with it, and then you just toss it lightly. I get like a keto type mayonnaise, or ones without, like we were talking about with the bread, without all the added stuff in it. It's just like egg yolk and vinegar. If you just kind of like toss it in a very clean mayonnaise, that's a really good summer dish.
Oh, it's popular at potlucks too. The next, it's not really, I guess we could call it a fungus, is your favorite. So beyond all the cartilage you see that makes up the exterior of your ear lies some teeny tiny bones that help your ears receive sound. When mushrooms are sliced and turned sideways, they actually look like ears. So to keep your bones strong, chow down on some mushrooms. They are packed with vitamin D, which helps keep your bones strong and highly functioning. Without healthy ear bones, your hearing would be significantly lacking. And Dalaney just loves mushrooms.
Nope, they're the worst vegetable ever.
Her fiance eats them at least. And
He does. Well, he'll have good hearing, and I'll have other good things like eyesight.
so I also got some other fun facts about whole food from the book Giant Book of Kitchen Counter Cures by Karen Cicero and Colleen Pierre. So in their book, they say that asparagus battles birth defects and heart disease and bolsters immune function. I love asparagus. It's one of my favorite, and a lot of people don't.
Well, did you know that? I don't know the split, but there's two types of people: those who, after they eat asparagus and pee, they're fine, and those who have smelly pee.
Yes, yes. I'm in the smelly pea, I think,
Yeah, me too.
category.
It's hereditary, I think, too. So, yeah.
I did hear a doctor talk about that once, and I don't know if that was good or bad, and I couldn't find anything
Okay.
about that again.
Hmm.
But there definitely is.
Yeah.
But I like it. A lot of people don't, and asparagus are so easy to cook.
Yes.
It's fast. So basil battles bloating, infections, inflammation, and ulcers and bolsters bones. Cabbage battles heart disease and stroke and bolsters bones and vision. And I love cabbage. When I was really young, your grandmother used to go on a cabbage diet. They had this cabbage soup diet.
What?
And I think it would make them eat this for 5 days. And of course, everybody would lose weight because that's all they were eating.
Ew.
We'll have to do an episode on fad diets and things like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, because we're stressing here just nutrition. Give your body what it wants,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll work for you. Cherries battle arthritic pain and heart disease and bolster bones, and greens battle heart disease and bolsters bones and vision.
Mm.
So I know they have something with cherries, and they have something with another thing your grandmother tried was raisins soaked in brandy. I think,
That was a diet?
well, it was, they did that for arthritis, the older community down in, well, Florida is where she was. And they were all soaking their raisins in brandy and eating 5 a day. I'm sure the husbands were probably just drinking
Yeah.
brandy.
They're like, the brandy is the helpful part, right? Yeah.
Well, was it or was it not? So we'll have to do a controlled study on that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But besides brandy, because we'll find that at the liquor store later, right? But where's the best place to find all these whole foods that we can add to our diet?
Okay, so the best place is the outside aisles of the grocery store. The
Okay.
inside aisles tend to be packed with prepackaged processed foods, where the outside aisles tend to be stocked with whole foods. So I rarely even go into the other aisles of the grocery store. So it actually makes shopping fast and easy.
Okay.
And you can find people are really starting to put good food in all the stores. So Walmart
Mhm.
has their organic section, and all the other different grocers have their brand of organic.
Yeah, and it's pretty, reasonably priced depending on the grocery store because it's their brand. I feel like that helps with the price.
Yeah, the peanut butters, things like that are organic. Just read the labels, make sure there's no sugar, things like
Hmm.
that. But I think everybody is just getting in, and they're starting to put the nuts and the seeds out with the produce. So everything's pretty much easy to find on the outside of the store.
Yeah. I think just with the climate right now, while we're recording this podcast, a lot of the bulk food is shut down, at least at my grocery store. So you might have to buy the packaged version of that. But I think you can still get those walnuts and almonds that aren't flavored with all the crazy sugar stuff. You can still find the raw ones. They're just not going to be in the bulk section right now because it's closed down.
Oh, I've got to go to the store later. I'm going to see. So far, I don't think they shut our bulk section down, but I guess that would make sense
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
So,
But yeah, they usually do have their own then brand
yeah.
of it in a different part of the store.
But so all these foods that we've talked about, is it hard to make them? I mean, we were kind of hinting at what we found as easy recipes and stuff like that, but what do you think? Hard to do?
No, it's very simple to cook whole foods and to eat whole foods. We've gone through a lot that, we just talked about for snacks, whether it's the celery and putting stuff on the celery, or we didn't cover this, but avocados, you can make it into guacamole kind of things quickly,
Yeah.
or just eat walnuts. But dinner is easy also. So I'll go over some quick ideas
Okay.
for quick ways to cook whole foods for dinners that don't take long to prepare, because I don't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen either.
Yeah.
So you're at home, you've got all your whole food, and so you're going to cook dinner. And well, one does take planning. So if you have a crock pot before you go to work, or if you're not working at lunch, you can put something in for dinner. And I just pile everything in.
And what my fiance and I do, because we both work, at least when we were leaving the house, we're at home now, but when we were leaving for work, we actually for the holidays, we got this plug timer. So you just like plug it in the wall and plug your cord into it, and then you can set how long it's on. So multi-purpose, you can plug that into the back of your crock pot if you have a simple one like I do. Like, you don't have to get the big fancy ones with all the timers, because you just buy the little wall plug at a hardware store or something, and then you just literally set it and forget it, because it'll cook it as long as it needs to and turn off. So we do that
That's a
with
great idea.
yeah, with ribs, chicken, and then you can put I stacked ribs around the outside perimeter of the crock pot, and in the middle I stuffed it with veggies, like all just everything raw, just stuffed it all in there and seasoned the whole thing. And that was the best one I've done yet so far. It was really good.
And it's simple, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it takes like 5-10 minutes to prep it, and then you just get home and you can start eating it.
And then cleanup's even better, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's literally one pot. That's all you clean. Yeah, so nice.
We love that kind
Yeah.
of eating. If people have an Instapot, they can follow the directions on there and do an Instapot when they come home. It doesn't take as long. What I do with the oven is I just get a 9x13, and let's say I want Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes and chicken for dinner. I just put a very tiny bit of water on the bottom to cover the bottom. And then I cut up the sweet potatoes, and then I put on the broccoli, and then I just put, because I get bone in and skin on chicken, I just layer that on top and stick it all in the oven. And with the chicken, it creates a lot of great fat that just really keeps everything moist. And I put a lot of herbs and seasonings on it, and then I just cook it depending on what kind. I like thighs, so not as long, but if you're a breast person, then you're gonna want to cook it longer. And then it's all done. I take it out, and it tastes delicious, doesn't it, Delaney? Everything's seasoned, everything tastes great. And again, it's one dish.
Yes.
So that makes it easy.
You can theme the spices, like I've done, where like, oh, I want it to have like an Italian food flair, so I'm gonna do like the basil, the garlic, the oregano, and then I'm like, I'm more in like a Asian food kind of mood, so you put the ginger and the chili powder on there and stuff like that. You can create different flavors with the same whole food. Yeah.
And then the Mexican flavor, we love that, so we make it really hot.
We do.
Cilantro and cumin, and then hot peppers.
Yes, if you want like Hispanic flair chicken, just cumin needs to be one of the spices that you put on there, and it will taste like you're eating at a Spanish restaurant or Mexican restaurant or whatever.
We have a Peruvian restaurant around here that's really good, and they just keep ready. You just walk in, they have chicken on a spit, and they season it so well. It tastes so good. But that's another idea for just Whole Foods. Instead of going through McDonald's and getting the food there, you can just run by a grocery store and get the rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you can find the organic ones, but if not, and you can feed a whole family, then you have maybe some frozen veggies in the freezer. So You put those in some water and boil them on the stove, and they take seconds really
Yeah.
to cook, not long. And then you season it with butter and spices, and you're good. So there are a lot of options to eat whole food. And leftovers are at least one of my favorites because we cook enough at dinner. So the next day for lunch is what I will take to work.
Yes. Yeah, that is really good. And you can do fun stuff with it. We've had, like, if you do the chicken, then for lunch, if you don't want to heat it up, because I like cold chicken, I just make a lettuce wrap out of it. And you can do chicken and like carrot slices in it, get those guys in there. I like jicama. That's a
Avocado,
fun one. Put that in. Yeah. And just like wrap it all
hummus.
inside of a lettuce leaf, and there, oh, make your own guacamole and have
Mm.
that. You can do a lot of fun things with leftovers.
Oh, I agree. And I'm going to talk about how I do my Brussels sprouts, and Delaney is going to talk about how she does her cauliflower poppers
Yes,
because they're
yes,
really
yes.
good.
Okay.
But for my Brussels sprouts, I just cut them up to roast them. And then I melt some, I like duck fat, but some people do butter, avocado oil, coconut oil, anything like that. And then I just mix it into the Brussels sprouts, and I put just a light coating of salt on them, but some people do other seasonings. And then I just roast them in the oven, and they don't take long at all, depending on how you cut them. If you cut them in quarters,
Mm-hmm.
and if you cut them in half, it's maybe 20 minutes. You just have to move them around maybe after 10 minutes and check on them. But roasted Brussels sprouts taste so good.
So good. Yes. Yes. And then for the cauliflower, it's great. You just cut them up into bite-sized pieces, and then all you need from the store, I get the yellow curry powder. You could probably do the red too, probably be just as good, but sprinkle copious amounts of that onto the cauliflowers, and again, use like your oil or butter base of your choice to kind of make it stick, and also just a little salt and pepper, and then same thing, put it in the oven, roast them for a little bit, keep them a little closer to the top burner and the top of the oven if you want like the tops to get crisped, but they're so good. That's a go-to for me and my fiance.
So I'm going to wrap this up with two quotes. But I think what we're trying to get through to people today is it's so easy to grab whole food and make it and eat it. And it's healthier for your body. So your body knows what to do with those nutrients, as opposed to processed food where we've got a lot of fillers and a lot of preservatives, which our body has more of a hard time dealing with. So we're going to say, I'm going to give you the quotes now. Hippocrates is saying, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." So in other words, what we eat should heal and restore our bodies. And a Dr. Amit Agarwal, again, another hard name to say. These poor people were just butchering their name. He wrote a book, Heal Your Body, Cure Your Mind, which I just led a book group on, and we had a great time going through it. And he says nutrients provide components that help every organ in your body to function optimally. Nutrients also help produce neurotransmitters, hormones, enzymes, and every other chemical that nourishes the organs in your body. So without adequate nutrition, your body will be more prone to emotional stress and will have more difficulty recovering from emotional problems as well. So not only is whole food good for your body, it's good for your mind.
Yeah, and I think especially just in the new day and age we're living in right now, everyone's got a lot of stress, so I think these whole foods, they're really going to help us out. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And again, we want to hear from you guys. We always want to hear from you guys. Please, please, please reach out to us. And here are just a few ways that you can do that. We have our website, saltyabouthealth.com. You can find us on Snapchat at saltyhealth, on Instagram at saltyabouthealth, and of course, email us at saltyabouthealth@gmail.com. We want to hear your stories. Oh, also, you can find us on Facebook. Just look us up, Salty About Health. And a fun thing that you can do on our website is we have SpeakPipe. So if you click on that, you can leave us a 90-second or less voice message so we can hear your stories that way as well. So, Mom, if they want to hear from you on social media, where can they find you?
Okay, I am a certified health coach and I do coach one-on-one. So if you're interested, you can contact me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com. I also do research for people who are interested in finding alternative approaches to do in conjunction with the health issue or illness their doctor is treating them for. So again, just reach out to me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com or follow me on Twitter at feedyourselfhealthy, which is spelled FeedYourselfHealthy. That's where they can find me.
Cool. Okay. And if you guys want to find me, I'm not a health coach, but I'm on Instagram hanging out there at Dalaney.a. Find out how to spell my name in the show notes and everything. And of course, I'll be the one mainly keeping an eye on the social media. So always happy to chat with you guys via the Salty Network. And until next time, stay salty.
Stay salty.